that all these things, like your particular kafafo, is then given legal dressing by this from Karamoja.
I have made the case before that you have a pumpkin for a DPP. But some lawyers continue to pretend that she is actually a DPP. And for some, they take it very seriously because they think it's an attack on womanhood. Or it's an attack on being Karimajong. That's absolute nonsense. She's a pumpkin. She's deadwood. She's a dimwit. She's a careerist, shameless careerist. She's a cuckoo in the nest of our criminal justice system. You cannot, from the tales we have heard, there was an abduction in Kenya. And so the state responsible is the state of Kenya. It must be sued, or it must be petitioned, which I understand has already been done. Number two, there was an arrest, or to put it in the proper legal terms, there was an arbitrary arrest within the jurisdiction of Uganda. And so the state responsible is the Ugandan state, and it must be held to account in terms of Article 23 and Article 50 of our Constitution. No person, Article 23 reads, no person shall be arbitrarily deprived of their liberty except in the specified circumstances. None of those meets your situation. No person shall be arbitrarily deprived of liberty. And there are preconditions for an arrest. One of them being reasonable suspicion arising from probable grounds, which must be told to you. But in your case, I guess they want to do the investigation. And I think that's what they told the court, that the investigations are ongoing. So the arrest was clearly premature and uncalled for. This issue has to be interrogated ahead of the trial. Number three, freedom of assembly. You were 36. Much of the kafafo is about your number. We have to start to defend freedom of assembly like it matters for all Ugandans. This right is enshrined in the UN instruments, especially the UN Declaration for Human Rights of 1948 and the 1966 Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. The state responsible here is probably the state of Uganda, which, of course, in collaboration with the state of Kenya. They broke up an assembly. They interfered with an assembly. This is what we need the court record to indicate. You must sue on those issues. Last but not least, there are refugee law considerations here. Unfortunately, time wasn't enough for us to get to hear them firsthand from the Kisumu 36. But from what I have read, I understand that there was breach of international protocols protecting asylum seekers. The UNHCR has important case law on these issues. We must present a report to the appropriate agencies, local and international, we must sue and we must petition. Kenya should be safe ground for Ugandans seeking asylum. From the history I have just shared, it appears not to be the case. And finally, prosecutorial misconduct. I have made the case before that you have a pumpkin for a DPP. But some lawyers continue to pretend that she is actually a DPP. And for some, they take it very seriously because they think it's an attack on womanhood. Or it's an attack on being Karima Jong. That's absolute nonsense. She's a pumpkin. She's dead wood. She's a dimwit. She's a careerist, shameless careerist. She's a cuckoo in the nest of our criminal justice system. You cannot, in 2024, hold the job of judge and prosecutor and imagine that you do no harm to
that all these things, like your particular kafafo, is then given legal dressing by this vagina from Karamoja. We have to start to call things exactly what they are. So you need to take action against prosecutorial misconduct. You are entitled under Article 120, Sub-Article 5, to the protection of an independent defendant. It's goes to you, Counsel. Let me see to what extent your youth is a prize. PFL.
you got to